Champions Trophy back in 2013, and also the inaugural event as well back in 1998. But the record has been decidedly mixed. Malinga in again from the Vauxhall end, and again it's a circumspect defensive shot from Rohit Sharma. No run, and they stay on 12 without loss.
It's funny you bring that up. I'm pretty sure it would have been from the 2002 that you're talking about. I saw a picture of the two captains with the trophy yesterday, I think it was, and they looked thoroughly unamused at having to have a picture with a shared trophy.
Yeah, not the best. Not the best, because they both went into that, having read the reports, very confident that they would end up being the winners. India, of course, the current holders, having won the final 4 years ago, beating England in the final. As the last ball and Malinga's over again, just results in a dot ball. So it's been a solid start, an unspectacular start, as we would have expected from India. 12 without loss after 3 overs on TalkSport 2. Surrey captain Gareth Paddy alongside me. And India, not favourites coming into the tournament, but I think from that performance in Birmingham against Edgbaston, particularly with the way that the form has held up since then with Pakistan, who they beat very comfortably, going on to win the game yesterday against South Africa, I think many people think that India have got a real live chance of winning this, and not so much the dark horses. They are second favourites for the tournament, but I think a lot of people think that they possibly have the advantage.
Yeah, I think it's the balance of the team that I sort of alluded to before. They've got very strong seam bowling options, which you need in England, particularly when the conditions are dank and overcast like they are at the minute.
Lakmal in, and it's just poked back to him, prodded into the ground by Shikhar Dhawan, and is fielded by Lakmal off his own bowling, and there's no run.
Also, the one thing that we saw at Edgbaston, which was quite incredible to see, and it's something India have worked on ridiculously hard, their athletic ability in and around fielding, between the wickets, everything we saw them do, they were real athletes, and that is the gulf between the top 2 or 3 teams and the other sort of lesser teams, shall we say, in the competition.
Lakmal in again from the pavilion end, more width. This excellent piece of fielding, really well stopped, and Dhawan got the full weight of the bat behind that and cut it away to the left-hand side. It's an outstanding stop, diving away from Kusal Mendis to say 4.
Yeah, I think it was Mendes. Yeah, what a wonderful stop this is. It's pretty much what we're talking about, the athletic ability. That's a definite saving 4 runs there. If you can produce 3 or 4 of those in an innings, steal a run out, you're actually making things happen, not just with bat and ball in hand. It's quite incredible to see, and the game is moving on. We need more of that.
Lakmal in again, bowling to Dhawan. This time it was just angled across the left-hander, and he let it drift outside his off stump, and there's no run. Saranga Lakmal made his debut against India back in 2009. First wicket in his ODI career. Sehwag, not a bad start.
Oh,
Who's yours?
You're only going downhill from there. I think mine was the great man Bevan, actually. The finisher.
That's not a bad start either.
Michael Bevan, yeah. It was a filthy ball. He sort of hacked it onto his foot and then rolled onto the stumps. There was nothing particularly wonderful about it.
Scorebook doesn't say it was a filthy ball. Don't worry about that. Here comes Lakmal again, bowling to the left-handed Dhawan, and that one slightly straighter. He just got his bat to it, no more. It rolled away 5 or 6 feet. And they thought about a run just for a moment, not at this stage of the innings. And then the ball is kind of idly thrown back to the non-striker's end where it hits the stumps, but Rohit Sharma was well within his ground and almost gave a disdainful look to the fielder. The stumps and just being repaired. Another day for a heavy bail today with the wind that there is blowing in, and as Gareth was saying, as we look at it from our wonderful vantage point here at the Vauxhall end, that wind is blowing from right to left. So taking the ball away from the left-hander as Lakmal comes in again, and that one just angled back across the face, and there's a forward defensive, and he asks for permission, picks the ball up and throws it to the nearest fielder. And it's a much better over, this 5 dots from it so far.
I'll tell you what, that wouldn't have happened a few years ago with the great man Sangakkara in the team. He'd have been barking at him, get off our ball, don't be touching our ball, that's ours, keep away from it. He'd have been barking orders at him, and then Jai Wardner have had a little pop at him, and then probably Murali would have had a joke somewhere about it, all with his big beaming eyes looking at you. It's certainly good to see that there's a little bit more sportsmanship kicking on.
Final ball of the 4th over. Lakmal from the pavilion end to the left-handed Shikhar Dhawan. and he's just fended it off his legs, and it's a maiden. First of the day. Don't expect too many of them. 12 without loss after 4.
No mean feat, maidens, in modern day one-day international cricket. I think what it's showing us is the surface is a little bit tennis ball bounce. By that I mean it's not going to have great pace in it, but the ball will sort of be carrying through okay, but dying as it gets to the keeper, which generally means if you're full of that, you take that sort of carry out of it, and if you're short of it, it generally sits up and has to be smacked out of the ground. So the great thing that Lakmal did there, he held his length at the top of the stumps, hitting the splice of the bat, and the batsman's got to take big risks then to be hitting the boundaries or getting off strike. So lovely over.
And it is, in fact, Sri Lanka's first maiden of the tournament. Didn't bowl one against South Africa. Malinga continuing, a little bit more width again outside the off stump, and it's carved back behind square. Rohit Sharma takes a single, he moves up to 6, and the score to 13 without loss.
Such a rare commodity though, maidens, aren't they? Because the modern way of thinking, we talk about it just in first class cricket, sometimes you'll move a fielder back to give somebody a single to get them off strike so you don't get hit for the boundary in the over. So the modern day thinking is you go one off the over, that's the equivalent of a maiden maybe 10 years ago, trying to stop somebody lining the bowler up, for want of a better phrase.
Malinga, who did have a spell out of the side, recalled recently, coming in again with this bustling style of his, and just induces a false shot, a play and miss from Shikhar Dhawan, who was beaten outside off stump, didn't make any contact. Does have such an unorthodox bowling style, with the arms going all over the place. It is everything that the textbooks would tell you is wrong, and yet it's brought him so much success. Lasith Malinga, Slinger Malinga, 7 fifers in his one-day international career, 3 hat-tricks in his one-day international career, including a sense of the big occasion because he's taken 2 of them in World Cups. Waiting for his first wicket of this tournament, though. Will it come from this ball? It's of a fuller length. It was an excellent ball, just dug out by Dhawan, and there's no run. Just a little bit of scoreboard pressure now. It's only 1 off the last 9 balls, 13 without loss. Yeah,
the challenge facing Malinga is he comes from such a low angle with his arm. So most people are coming over the top with your fingers. He's actually coming from almost the chest of the umpire. So the umpire stood behind the stumps at the non-striker's end. And as Malinga releases the ball, his arm is almost in front of the umpire, which on a day like today when the umpires are wearing all black with a white ball is probably a good thing for the batsman. But it's such a different angle that he comes from anybody else in the world.
And he comes again, Malinga, past the umpire, and that one slightly shorter. He's just poked again into the cover area, and there's no run. How do you practice that then? What do you do as a batsman? What do you do to prepare for facing Malinga with it coming out of this different trajectory?
I know a lot of guys got, when we do throwdowns in the morning, they get people throwing it sort of side saddle, you would say, almost sort of like you would throw skimming rocks in the sea as a kid, almost like that, trying to get used to it sort of coming from a lower trajectory, and the ball actually coming down more like a flying saucer rather than being right over the top and the seam coming directly at you.
Malinga again with his blonde hair bustling in, and that one is better contact, but Matthews can comfortably field, and there's again no run. Just testing the patience of the 2 Indian batsmen. That's not necessarily a test that you would expect them to fail. We mentioned earlier that they only scored 37 from the first 10 overs against Pakistan, and then really up the tempo, having seen the opening bowlers off. But just a little bit of scoreboard pressure beginning to be applied. 1 ball left in the 5th and only 13 on the board. Yeah,
I don't think they'll be worried at all. I think they'll look at the makeup of Sri Lanka's bowling, and they'll be looking at this period in the game as a really dangerous period. They'll maybe be looking when Malinga comes back somewhere in the middle overs as a dangerous period. He generally comes on to take wickets. But either side of that, it wouldn't surprise me if they target certain overs, certain periods of the game to try and take a bowler out of the attack.
Malinga then to the left-handed Shikhar Dhawan, and that one is again a little bit wider. It's a beautiful shot. That'll go for 4. Straight down to deep extra cover, and again just created a little bit of room for himself. A loose ball from Malinga at the end of a good over, a little bit too much width, again only fractions, but emphatically punished.
Classical. We were saying about Malinga not being textbook bowler. This is a textbook cricket shot. What a beautiful, beautiful right elbow from Dhawan. Drilled it through extra cover. Great balance, great poise. Screamed into the boundary. It's just showing that if you're over pitching at the Oval, you're going to pay the price. He got away with a few Yorkers there, but this one's just outside Dhawan's eye line and creamed it through extra cover. Wonderful shot, and he's broken the stalemate that the Sri Lankans had built up.
It's a 5 off the over in the end. 17 without loss. Dhawan up to 11. Rohit Sharma has 6 from his 12 balls. And Rohit taking guard now. I think this is the first time that he will have faced the ball from Lakmal, who's coming in from the pavilion end. He's happy taking his guard, and as a little hush descends over the Oval again as Lakmal comes in for the first ball of his 3rd over. It's outside off stump. They'll run through for a quick single, a direct hit. I still think he would have been in. It was shot at the stumps from Gunatilaka, and good backing up in the end because the throw was an errant one, but they trot through for a single. Gunatilaka, the player who's been called up to replace the injured Kedar, a 26-year-old left-hand opening batsman and a sharpish fielder as well. Gareth Batty's left us for the time being, and another man with Surrey and England connections, Alex Tudor, has taken up station alongside me. Good morning to you, Tudes.
Morning, Jim. Morning, everyone.
Intriguing at the moment, isn't it? 3 boundaries, 3 wonderful shots, and not a lot else up to this point as Lakmal comes in again and Dhawan fends it away comfortably.
You was right on the off, though, Jim, with your analysis where you said India don't mind if they don't get off to a great start, as in regards of runs. As long as they got wickets in hand, they know with their batting lineup that they can absolutely destroy any team in the last 10-15 overs or so. So if they're 30-40 for none, they won't mind. Because as you rightly said, you know, the next 10 went for 75, and then the next lot could go for 200.
and nearly did the other day. In comes Lakmal again from the pavilion end past the umpire, and again just leaves himself a little bit of room. Even Alex applauds that one and goes through to the boundary. Another flashing shot through to deep cover, and the 4th boundary of the innings. Dhawan's hit through them. He moves up to 15 from his 20 balls, and India are 22 without loss. One
thing about this Oval wicket, there's not much demons in it. It looks like a very good wicket, and both these batsmen are just settling in here. As you say, the ball before just hit his maybe the splice of his bat. That one, he's just made an advance down the wicket and just crashed Lakmal through the extra cover region. Fantastic shot, and Shikhar Dhawan looks like he's in the mood here today.
Again, as Lakmal prepares to bowl once more. Second ball of this, his 3rd over, and he's just induced the hook, which one bounce goes over the fence for 4. Almost a little top edge feather round the corner. He didn't need to do too much to it. It was shorter of a length, and Dhawan just rocked back and helped it on its way over the vacant leg slip area. One bounce for 4.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm a bowler, aren't I? But it's a perfect bouncer. He always sort of saying, obviously, he's a left-hand batsman, so he's aiming for his right earlobe. But obviously, fine leg's too wide. If he was going to do that, bring your fine leg finer, because it's only going to go one way. Because of the height and the direction, it's only going to go very fine. So bring your fine leg finer. Dhawan got a good piece of it. 4 runs, good shot.
4's off the last 2 balls, 9 off the over so far. In comes Lakmal again, and that one is hit behind square. It's another good piece of diving fielding from Gunatilaka, who probably saved 1. Might not have had the legs to have beaten Malinga on the boundary, but it was a good piece of fielding. At backward point, diving away to his right-hand side, and goalkeeping style, just got a right hand to it to take the pace off it. But they'll still trot through for a single. Dhawan in no time up to 20 from 22 balls. 10 off the over so far, which will conclude after next delivery from Lakmal. 27 without loss, India. And again, another very solid, not necessarily spectacular, but very solid start. Lakmal coming in again from the pavilion end. Bowls now, and it's of a fuller length, which is prodded back down the pitch by Rohit Sharma. No run. He's taken the... left the responsibility to Shikhar Dhawan in these early stages, with 4 of the 5 boundaries coming to the left-hander. They're 27 without loss after 6.
And that's what you've got to do. You've got to bat in partnerships. If your partner is batting very well and he's feeling it, and he's feeling confident, well, just, you don't try and match him. You just give him the strike, and that's what Rohit Sharma's doing. And he's an experienced and he's a quality player. One of the players that I really like watching. If I was to pay money to go and watch, I would pay and watch Rohit Sharma. He's very classy. He reminds me a little bit like Mark Waugh, as in just makes batting look very easy and elegant, and everything he does is without much rush at all.
Malinga coming in again. First ball of the 7th over. No bowling changes so far. He's once more giving himself a little bit of width outside off stump, but Tilaka, who the ball has been attracted to in these early stages, fields comfortably at point, and there is no run. 27 without loss. Malinga's form has been a little bit patchy by his own high standards over the last couple of years. He had a relatively disappointing IPL campaign with the Mumbai Indians, but he's still the highest wicket taker in IPL history. He's a man who knows the disciplines of the short form game so well, and he runs in again, and he once more bowls it right arm over the wicket, and this time it's fielded by Angelo Matthews, skippering Sri Lanka today on his recall to the side, and there's no run.
This wicket looks good, Jim. I'm always prone for a big comment, but I reckon 330, Jim.
Well, it could be, couldn't it?
It just looks good. It just, they don't have to make big strides within their batting like coming forward. They can just trust the bounce and trust that there's not much lateral movement, and to trust their eye. And for me, they need to get a couple of wickets early, otherwise this could be huge.
Well, they put on 136 for the first wicket the other day. As Malinga comes in again, and that one once more is just a little bit of width outside the left-hander's off stump, and he's carved it away to point, and Tilaka, who must have saved about 20 so far, has got his hands to that. And again, there is no run. So 3 dot balls at the start of this Malinga over.
Even all with his experience, Angelo Matthews is just walking up to his bowler just saying, look, let's not give him much room, please. Just keep it nice and tight. I can set a field for that. I can't keep setting fields if you're going to bowl it short and wide. To quality players, especially on a good wicket, you just don't want to keep doing it.
He's the most experienced in this Sri Lankan side today. He's 193rd ODI. Malinga bowling now, and again there's room, and his captain's words weren't heeded. Fielding inside the circle is good enough, but probably only to save one. I think they're going to come back for a third that is taken in quite a leisurely manner in the end. Oh, it was another wonderful shot, but again, just too much room outside off stump afforded by Malinga.
He didn't go short, but he went full and wide. And, as you say, your Shikhar Dhawan looks like he's in fantastic form. And as I said, the batting wicket is nice, and you can just trust the bounce. And he's leaking a little bit, Malinga. I know he's obviously at the beginning, you try and get a couple, and then he comes back at the end where he's absolutely phenomenal. But, these Indian batsmen are getting off to a fantastic start at the moment.
Well, they've just shown on the TV monitor where the balls have gone that have got Dhawan out in ODIs over the last 3 or 4 years, as Malinga comes in again, and that one is shorter, and it's just paddled back behind square. They'll just come through for a single. Rohit Sharma moves up to 8, Dhawan 23 not out. Nearly every time he's been dismissed, it has been a ball that's been angled across him towards away from off stump, so that's probably something that they've been working on, and that would explain why Malinga is just constantly trying to probe down that particular avenue, but it's not an avenue that has worked for them so far.
He just needs to tighten it up. I think he's more wants to be aiming off stump going away, but at the moment he's already starting at off stump and giving him far too much width.
Final ball of over number 7, Malinga coming in again, and it's a straighter one this time, and the non-striker Rohit Sharma has to take evasive action. It runs through his legs. The throw from Matthews came to the non-striker's end, where Dhawan had made his ground quite comfortably. Throw to the far end, and Sharma might have been struggling, but he got through. Dhawan has kept the strike, and India have moved up to 32 without loss after 7 overs. And after a word from Alex Tudor, it's going to be John Norman to take over here on TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio.
Just like Shikhar Dhawan is just counting the balls at the minute. As I said, he's feeling really confident here today, and he's liking this oval wicket. And the 5th ball, he just punched it just to the left of Angelo Matthews there at mid-off, and Matthews had no chance when the batsman agreed to run straight away. It's very hard as a fielding unit to stop the run flow, and it was an easy single. And as you say, Shikhar Dhawan's feeling in fantastic form. He's enjoying this wicket, and if he continues for another 5-10 overs, he could be set for an absolute massive score here, John.
Well, you go 3:30, do you?
I've gone 3:30. I was going to go around the box to see what everyone was thinking, but I reckon I've gone low with 3:30.
Well, I saw Michael Vaughan on social media, former England captain, of course, going 3-4-4 about 10 minutes ago. First ball of the 8th over, and it's a scampered single. Haven't seen too many singles, plenty of boundaries. More dot balls than India would have liked in the first 3 or 4 overs, but that last 6 deliveries, and Shikhar Dhawan just opening up a little bit. And as yourself and Jim pointed out in commentary, India are quite happy going at around 5 and over for the first 10, because when you've got the likes of Kohli and Yuvraj, Singh and MS Dhoni to come...
John, don't be shouting them names at me. I get nervous. I'm in the bowl. I'm not even bowling.
You're not bowling, but Pradeep is second ball of his first spell, and it's another quick single. And there was a shy at the stumps at the non-striker's end. The batsman had to hurry, a turn and throw, but in the end, no harm done. And in fact, that was some good backing up as well. Otherwise, the ball would have raced away to the boundary. Let's have a quick look here. I think he would have gone. Yes, absolutely. Out by a couple of yards if the bowler had managed to hit the stumps. And that's the kind of magic that Sri Lanka need if they're going to get a foothold in this game. 34 without loss at the start of the 8th over. And Rohit Sharma had to hurry there. Dhawan, though, facing forward in defence, played that out 2 points. And Shikhar Dhawan is raced away 25 from 28. This is a guy. Hang on, you got that look on your face and the smile of a man who's just wants to point something out.
No, I was just saying, when the wicket is as good as it is, the one thing you do not want as a batsman, don't get run out.
Don't run yourself out.
Don't run yourself out.
And he would have run himself out as well. That was his call.
And it would have been his own fault. Don't do it.
Dhawan 25 not out. Little flex of the knees, a little move towards the offside, and that's crunched down to Lasith Malinga, fielding at wide third man for another single. 35 without loss, 2 balls left of the 8th over. While yourself and Jim were on commentary, I just nipped outside just for a couple of overs.
Yeah.
Just to reignite the passion, you know. Just to remind yourself or oneself just exactly why we love this game. And I tell you what, if you do need to reignite the passion, just go and sit with an Indian crowd for a couple of overs. This is on a length on the body of Rohit Sharma. Defends, no run, 35 without loss. The noise that greeted Dhawan's first 4 was like what you'd get at Old Trafford for a last-minute winner.
John, I still haven't seen a Sri Lankan supporter. I honestly, on my way on the ground, I took train today, and on my walk in, didn't see a Sri Lankan. I did not see a Sri Lankan fan. Just for Indian, it was fantastic.
It is almost entirely Indian supporters here. This is cutaway aerial to third man by Sharma for another run, and that brings to an end the over. So 36 without loss, 8 overs in. Malinga's bowled 4 overs. Is he going to bowl a 5th? Yes, it does look like he's... Oh no, he was taking the old wide-brimmed hat off, walking towards the wicket, but the hat's gone back on. So I think we're going to see a change at the Vauxhall end as well. Angelo Matthews just going to come across and have a word with Malinga. Have a blow, son. Have a blow.
I think Lakmal's coming on from this end, John.
It looks like it, doesn't it? I think Angelo Matthews is going to be wary of the conditions out there. He doesn't want his bowlers freezing on the boundary. There is a wind whistling. It's whipping across this pitch. It looks pretty breezy. It is breezy.
It's breezy, but nothing like what we had the other day in Cardiff, let me tell you.
Well,
let me tell you.
You tell me. You go and tell those Indian fans out there.
30, 40 mile an hour winds.
Well, it's pretty cold out there as well, I can tell you.
That's all right. What's wrong with you? London, this is fine.
Telling
it's
you.
all right.
I'm telling you, it's more Baltic than Balti. But despite the Indian fans in this ground, to a man, they've nearly all got an India shirt on, but many of them have got jackets over them. It is pretty cold, but so far, India enjoying themselves. 36 without loss, and we're going to see the first ball of Lakmal. It's outside off stump, and Rohit Sharma defends into the covers. Dhawan, we commentated a lot on Dhawan for the Indian Premier League on TalkSport 2, didn't we? And he really used that tournament to get himself back in this India side. He was dropped from all 3 formats of the game for India. I think he was a 3rd or 4th top run scorer in the competition, and he's got himself back in the side, and he looks like a man in form. This is a beautiful shot from Sharma, just a fraction short from Lakmal. It was 2 straight, and Rohit Sharma, one of the most graceful players in the world game, all the time in the world, just to swivel, get inside the line and pull that up over square leg for a couple of bounce 4. And that is a touch of class, Alex Tudor.
I just love watching this man bat. He does make batting look extremely easy. I don't even think he sweats. He just elegance and just timing. I think that's the class of the man. It just, everything's in slow-mo. Even though Lakmal's bowling at high 80s, he played him like if he was facing me, a spinner.
Square leg has just dropped back, not quite on the boundary, about 10 metres in, as Lakmal is in again, right arm over the wicket, and Rohit Sharma just drops this into the onside mid on his heels, and he comes through for a comfortable single. So he's up and running, 15 not out, with Dhawan 26, and already Sri Lanka, who for me, like Pakistan yesterday, after a soporific start to the tournament, they seem to be snapping at the heels of the opposition in the first 5 or 6 overs.
What was that word, John?
It means laboured, tired, lazy.
I thought Mike Atherton was sitting next to me a minute ago.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, do.
Lakmal in again, and again, this is played deftly by... Do you know what deftly means? By Dhawan, down to 3rd man for a single, 41 without loss, midway point of the 9th over. So as a bowling unit, when you come out, what are you hoping to see from the track? I suppose that's obvious. Bit of bounce, bit of lateral movement, bit of swing. 8 overs in, when you haven't seen much of that.
Looking for
how do you change things round? Are you looking to the experience? Lakmal's it in again. This is slower delivery, floated up, touch fuller, and Sharma just lets that go through to the keeper.
Do you know what I used to think, John? I used to look at Sakale Mushtaq and Ian Salisbury, and I'll say, over to you, boys. That's what I used to. Well, I mean, it's changed now. Wickets are so good, John, and I just think as a bowler, you just got to have your skills on point. And I mean, when I mean your skills, I mean in your Yorker, your bouncer, you know, your standard hitting the top of off, your slower ball. You just got to have all of those, because if you don't, you're fetching it.
The problem is this bowling attack for Sri Lanka is pretty experienced. A little bit of width again to Rohit Sharma, and if the boundary earlier in the over was graceful and as though he had all the time in the world, well, exactly the same thing here. Predominantly actually stronger through the offside than the on, but that was as though he was plucking an apple from a tree.
There's only a couple of players around the world that I'd go and pay and watch. Sharma's one. Gareth
Batty's 2.
Kohli. A.B. de Villiers.
Well, it's just as well 2 of the 3 are in this team.
Oh, well, it's just...
honestly, and we're paying you.
I reckon my 330's looking ridiculous at the minute. I know our very own Jim Proudfoot, he's gone 3-4-5. What are you saying, John?
Jim Proudfoot's gone 3-4-5.
He's gone 3-4-5.
Was that before or after I said Michael Vaughan went 3-4-4?
No. He just prior to you giving that, when you said Michael said 3-4-4, he said 3-4-5.
46 of that loss, 9 overs in. Straight this time from Pradeep. His first over went for 4. And this is the key, isn't it? You cannot afford to give any width whatsoever. Every single time there's been a little bit of width outside off stump, it's been crashed away. And actually, if not for some superb fielding at point and backward point in the innings so far, India could probably add another 16 runs or so to the score. I'll give you my guesstimate very shortly, Alex Tudor, as Pradeep is in. Again, short and on the body. This is crashed down, and it bounces up and over backward point for a single. I'll go 3-4-3.
To be fair, I think we're all very low. Honestly, John, this wicket looks so good. And I know Away Shah, who may be joining us later, he's going to be so happy because, as again, it's the batsmen v bowlers type thing. But this wicket is very good. And I think the crowd here today and the listeners at home, they're going to be in for a treat, a run feast today. I
think you're right. It's a new pitch today, isn't it? And I think that this Champions Trophy has been typified by the pitches so far. I know we've had a bit of weather getting involved, but they've just been a little bit too paced at times, a little bit slow as Pradeep approaches the wicket. And for the first time, Rohit Sharma looks a little bit disconcerted by a delivery which again was straight, and that's the key. Inside edge onto the pads, and he just has to make sure it doesn't bounce down onto the stumps. They've been a little bit slow, a little bit too paced, and that's meant that taking wickets has been difficult because there hasn't been a great deal of spin, but the batsmen know you can't play across the line when it's straight with impunity. So run scoring hasn't been to the levels that we have seen in one-day cricket, but nor has wicket taking, as there's a shot at the stumps at the striker's end, as Sharma gets down on one knee and just tries to ramp the ball up over his left shoulder. There's a short third man who fields, and the batsman cross. 48 without loss. And what that's meant is that run scoring has been a little bit arduous at times, but on the same hand, I know we have seen a couple of low scores. It hasn't been easy for the bowlers, has it? This pitch here could be an indication we're going to go the other way now, and maybe a little bit easier for the batting. But that, of course, means more big shots. So the crowd should be entertained whilst India are at the crease anyway. 48 without loss. Again, this is straight. Played out into towards cover point by Dhawan, who's sent back by Sharma. One ball remaining of the 10th over. You're listening to TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio. Live coverage of the Champions Trophy. Every match across TalkSport, TalkSport 2 and Cricket Radio. Wherever you are in the world, we've got it covered. And greetings from my second home, the Oval, and yours, Alex, of course, and Gareth Batty. I did notice there's a very heavy Surrey influence today, which I'm not going to apologise for, even though my producer is shaking his head. As the last ball of the 10th over, and Pradeep has stuck to the basics well. Is defended 2 overs for 6 runs. He's given very little in way of width, and India are where they like to be. In and around the 50 mark after 10 overs and sitting comfortable. Sharma 20 not out, Dhawan's 28, and I'm pleased to say that I'm joined in the commentary box by an absolute legend, a man who loved playing his cricket here at the Oval, Sir Clive Lloyd.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. We've seen some lovely batting.
Yes, it's obvious this is an Indian side brimming with confidence. They believe in themselves, and they've really played like that in the last couple of years. And with the IPL, they've just seemed to be producing a lot of good players and very quickly.
Well, Mumbai Indians Rohit Sharma won 2017 Indian Premier League, and he is facing the first delivery from Lakmel's 5th over. This is played comfortably towards mid-on for a single. Score moves to 49 without loss. I mean, when you see some of the West Indians playing in the IPL, natural athletes, cricketers, the likes of, Chris Gayle, of course, Darren Sammy, Andre Russell until recently, Sunil Narayan, you must speak to those guys. They must tell you just how beneficial it is to their own cricket. And then, of course, we see that in the CPL as well when it comes around.
Yes, I wish they'd play a little bit more often for the West Indies than they do for these sort of franchises. But the point is that they're gaining experience, and they stand them in good stead for the future.
Lakmel is in again. He's going round the wicket to Shikhar Dhawan, and again just making sure that he's cramping him for room slightly, the left-hander. And this is the problem and I know, of course, you've got strong links to the West Indies cricket boards. You are at the forefront of just trying to get the balance right, as every cricket board is. England very unhappy with Kevin Peterson for a long time playing in the IPL, but they seem to have changed now. Cricket Australia coming out saying that maybe they will give their players enough money so they don't have to play in the IPL. Shorts from Lakmal, defended by Rohit Sharma.
Well, I think you have to look at it where you've spent a lot of money, grooming players, and when they've come to fruition, then all of a sudden they've gone. You've got to start again. It looks like it's like digging a hole to fill a hole, and cricketers develop after about 3 years. So it is very difficult for the West Indies, and they only have 5.5 million people.
Yeah, it is a problem. Touch fuller from Lakmal, again defended to backward point by Rohit Sharma. 21 not out he is. The other problem, of course, is that these domestic T20 leagues, they're springing up all over the world. You've got the Bangladeshi Premier League, the Pakistani Super League, the Caribbean Premier League, the IPL, the Big Bash, and NatWest Blast. Soon the cricket boards themselves are starting to monetize these leagues, and maybe we're approaching a period that outside of ICC events, that's where the money is to be made for cricket boards as well. The domestic cricket rather than internationals. This is played towards square leg, deep square leg. Fielder running in, a single to the score, and the 50's up for India. They're actually 51 without loss. We're in the 11th over.
Well, the point is too, if you're saying that Test cricket is the highest type of cricket you can play, well then put more money into Test cricket, not into the one-day stuff, because then you're saying there that the one-day cricket is more important. So I think they missed the step there in not trying to put more money into Test cricket and having a Test championship.
Last ball of the 11th over is cut towards backward point and fielded by Shikhar Dhawan. So, end of the 11th over, 51 without loss to score India in this match against Sri Lanka. Win this game, India, you'd feel they've got 1 foot in the semi-finals, but nothing's guaranteed. Even if India win today and Sri Lanka lose, neither team are out nor through to the next round. So fascinating the way that this tournament is gearing up to the last 4 days, where we're going to have all 8 teams still in it. And that's, I suppose, what you want.
Well, yes, that's how it should be, really. The other thing they have to think of here, you don't know the rain situation. So that means that India will have to really get a very good score. And if they come into the Duckworth Lewis situation, that they wouldn't have just a small total to get. So it's a situation where they have to now score quickly and try and get to a large total.
Well, we're past the 10 over stage, and so you imagine with no wickets down, as this is left alone by Sharma. Pradeep bowling his third over from the pavilion end. It won't be long before these two batsmen start to open up a little bit. I've got the feeling Virat Kohli with this pitch is just getting a little bit itchy up in the dressing room. I think he wants to get out there and bat. But going back to the point you were making about investing in Test cricket, and maybe you can answer after this delivery. Bowled by Pradeep, right arm over the wicket. This is punched through the covers. Not the timing that we associate with Rohit Sharma. It will be fielded on the deep extra cover boundary. 2 runs to the score. But in my life as a cricket fan, I'm not sure I've ever seen a time when the correct balance has been reached between the demands of limited overs cricket and Test cricket, and of course the domestic 4-day game that we see here. Can you point to a period in your career or life where you think the balance actually was right? This is short and pulled away by Sharma, fielded at deep backward point for another single. 54 without loss.
Yes, we only had the one-day competition and Test matches, so we really didn't have 2020 and so on. So the point is their balance is right, and they didn't have as many Test playing countries as they have now, so there wasn't that problem. I think they will have to have a look at things and say, well, right, enough is enough.
Pradeep is in. It's a bouncer. It's a short bouncer. It's a surprise bouncer, but it's gone way too high as well. Over the batsman, over the keeper, away for 4, and that will be signalled as wides as well. The intention, I would suggest, Clive, was a correct one. We haven't seen too much of the short stuff, and on a pitch like this, I suppose you want to be using the short ball sparingly. But that one was just banged in far too short and really leapt up off a length as well.
It did, and really, it's just a bit of pace, it seems, in the pitch at the moment, but it seems to be a very good batting track.
Does indeed. 59 without loss. This one is Fuller. Played out into the covers by Dhawan. I suppose the other main difference between cricket now and when you were playing, Clive, is that there is so much of it. I mean, it's not a 12-month calendar now. It's probably 13, 14 months worth of cricket squeezed in every year. And again, the demands of that, but also the choices for the players, is richer than it's ever been.
Yes, I suppose the players are being better paid at the moment.
Full again, cut away towards extra cover, short extra cover fills. It's Angela Matthews' position there.
I have a very good solution to the problem here. I would give everybody, all the test playing countries, the same amount of money, but according to the standing, 1 to 8 or 9, number 1 will get more money than number 2 and 3, that sort of.
So financial incentive
for you. It gives you that impetus to try and do well.
Last ball of the 12th over, and Dhawan tries to change the angle of attack by advancing down the crease, and while he gets bat on ball, can't beat the fielder positioned at short extra cover. So a dot ball to finish the 12th over. The score 59 without loss. Rohit Sharma 25 and Shikhar Dhawan 28. I mean, the Sri Lankans will know a lot about Rohit Sharma, won't they? The highest score in ODI history for India against Sri Lanka. I think he's the only man in world cricket to have scored 2 double tons in ODI cricket. If he gets in, he doesn't get out. 264 against Sri Lanka back in 2014.
That's some going. And
well, you saw Saviv in his prime.
Yeah,
I think he would have said take about Rohit after watching that.
Well, he probably realised that, so well done, young man. But the point is that India is producing some very good cricketers. I'm saying, just as they've come into the IPL, only in a matter of months, they've sort of excelled. So it's obvious that they have a very good system, and it's paying dividends.
Tassara Pereira is going to have a bowl from the Vauxhall end, right arm over the wicket, and he beats Rohit Sharma with a flat-footed cut shot. First up, Pereira, who was playing Big Bash cricket over the winter for Melbourne Renegades, brought into the side. One of 3 changes for Sri Lanka today, with Matthews, Pereira, and also the opening batsman Gunatilaka brought into the attack just to bolster Sri Lanka. This is played to the cover point boundary for a single. 60 without loss in the 13th over. And I suppose that the big difference that the Indian Premier League for the Indian players and any player that plays overseas player is that very usually they're ready-made cricketers go over, the overseas players that go over to the Indian Premier League, where of course the youngsters get a taste of it very early on. Played up to mid-on by Dhawan, who's quieting down in the last couple of overs after a couple of falls. He hasn't faced quite as much strike. He moves to 29.
I think that the younger players are being exposed quite early to a lot of cricket discussions and so on, and they're learning very fast. The things that they were here in their IPL, it would have taken them a long time here elsewhere if they didn't have that sort of situation.
Pereira in again as Sharma is playing this on the back foot through cover, but it's fielded at short extra, no run. 61 without loss. Yeah, when you look at teams like Delhi Daredevils and their top 4, I think are between the ages of 19 and 23. Rishabh Pant, Sanju Samson, Shreyas Iyer. These guys are going to be big names for India in 3 or 4 years' time. They'll look back at this experience and they'll say it made them better players. It's a Yorker from Pereira, dug out by Sharma.
You see, and they have a very good system too, in the sense that they don't they do not play anywhere else other than in India. The IPL, they don't play in other Bangladesh League, or they're going to be playing here when England have their 2020. So they're never going to be stale. They'll always be fresh to play and ready to perform.
Chisara Pereira, last ball of his first over. It's a bouncer, it's dug in, but at around 80 miles an hour. That's comfortably dealt with by Rohit Sharma, who pulls that backward of square for another couple of runs. So 13 overs in, and India are looking in an ominous position if you're one of the few Sri Lankan fans in this packed oval crowd. It's Indian fans and flags and shirts as far as the eye can see, really. Terrific atmosphere out there. It's still pretty blustery. There's a wind whipping across the grounds. It's grey, but the clouds are high, and it's still relatively bright. The floodlight's not on. We are expecting a bank of rain to hit the ground at some point today, but, Sir Clive, I think we're going to get a full game in.
Well, I hope, because I think it could be a very good contest, in the sense that if they don't get a mountain of runs, India, Sri Lanka would be able to try and put up a better show than they did the other day.
We can hope. Cut away by Dhawan. He's 29. Pradeep's going to bowl, but there's a bit of nonsense fielding, really. A shy at the stumps at the non-striker's end. Collides with one of them. The bells fly off. The ball deviates at an angle. Nobody backing up, and so India have just been given a single, so they move to 64 without loss. Rohit Sharma, the right-handed batsman, means a fielding change. Just the one slip in place. Backward point, short extra cover, mid-off. Played to backward point. There's a mid-on, a deep square leg, and also a fine leg. Third man and a cover point fielder as well. 64 without loss. You're listening to TalkSport 2 Cricket Radio. Myself, John Norman, and alongside me, the legend that is Sir Clive Lloyd, winner of 2 World Cups back in the day for West Indies, as Pradeep is in from the pavilion end. Again, watchful. It's straight on the body of Sharma, and he just plays that to short extra cover. No run. And I suppose it's been said before, but I'm going to say it again, but a tournament, any ICC tournament which doesn't involve West Indies, is slightly poorer for it. I remember watching Chris Gale hit that scoreboard up on the far side. A monstrous hit, probably the biggest I've ever seen at the Oval, as Rohit Sharma plays this delivery from outside off stump into the leg side, and that's good running as well. Big gaps on the leg side. It's a packed offside field. 66 without loss. Yeah,
well, I think you're right in the sense that if you have West Indies, one of the finest one-day sides around, not in this sort of competition, it's really sad, because I think they would have made a very good impression here, because they have some terrific ODI players.
They certainly do, and also a team that's always warmly welcomed in this part of the capital, South London, as another delivery from Sharma. He's so effortless, isn't he? Plays this out to point for another single. 67 without loss, 1 ball remaining in this, the 14th over, and already it seems, Sir Clive, that Sri Lanka have gone from wicket taking duty to damage limitation in the space of about 3 or 4 overs.
Yes, and I think if you look at this field, as I said, if you play the full field, it's very large, and to defend it is very difficult.
Dhawan facing up on the pull. This is just outside off stump, and it gets inside the line, does Dhawan. Plays this out just forward of square, and it's 1 more run to the total. So that brings to an end the 14th over. The score 68 without loss. And after a brief word from Sir Clive Lloyd, it will be Manchester United's number 10, Chetan Narula, to take up commentary duties.
Yes, this is a very good start here by India. They're building a very good platform for the other players if and when they get a hit. But these 2 guys look like they're seeing it as big as a football here. And the point is, the Sri Lankans now They've got to try and see if they can pull things back and not bowl sort of a terrible line as such. Their line has got to be very good here, because the Indians are very good off the pads, and they're even on the onside they're just as good. So you've got to be very precise in your line and length here. But it's a full house. Score 68 without loss. 14 overs have gone.
Dhanushka Gunatilaka is the new bowler. Bowling change from Sri Lanka. This time coming round the wicket to the left-hander Shikhar Dhawan, down towards the leg side, and starts off with a boundary. The batsman just pulling it, perhaps getting just a bit of an edge there as the ball ran down to the fine leg boundary. You'll have to wait and see if he got some bat. Yes, he got some bat, so just the boundary sign from the umpire. And boundary for Shikhar Dhawan. 5 boundaries in his 35-run essay so far. Gunatilaka to Dhawan once again on the off and middle, pushing the batsman back, who goes on his back foot and plays it to mid-wicket. Into his first over from the Vauxhall end. It's Shikhar Dhawan facing fuller delivery on the off stump, plays it down the ground for a single to long off. 73 for no loss. India, fine start after being put into bat on a cloudy and muggy day.
Well, I'm wondering if that was a very good move.
I mean, the way India have started, you would obviously think that it's a team that preserves wickets in the beginning and then goes bang bang later. Pakistan will attest to that as Gunatilaka continues to come from round the wicket. There's a slip in position with Rohit Sharma. He plays a forward defensive stroke for no run. Continuing then from the Vauxhall end, round the wicket still to Rohit Sharma, who comes forward and defends fuller delivery on the off stump.
What do you think was the move behind putting them in?
The spinner or the slip? Putting them in. Obviously the cloud cover, you would think. And obviously the forecast, there's a bit of rain predicted for the evening. And the whole tournament's been affected by it. This time Rohit Sharma bouncing down and plays a cut shot, control to backward point as the spinner had just dropped it short of length. End of the over. 6 from that one. Rohit keeps strike. He's on third. 74 for no loss after 15 overs. And looking at India's scorecard, Rohit Sharma 31 not out, 36 not out. They had a great start against Pakistan as well. Added more than 100 runs in that game. 91 for Rohit. Dhawan scored 68. Well, India's top 4 batsmen all got half centuries. As it'll be Nuwan Pradeep continuing from the pavilion end. 4 overs, none for 19 so far. We have a widish slip in position as it's Rohit Sharma facing short of length on the off stump. He just plays it off his hips and turns it towards a deep square leg for just the 1 run. Changes side and moves on to 33. Score on 75 for no loss, as I'm joined in by former Indian cricketer and renowned commentator Ravi Shastri.
Hi Chetan, good afternoon to all our viewers. Great cracking start this from India. 75 for no loss. They took their time early on, but now just seeing the conditions, now is the time to really up the ante. They've got all their wickets intact.
Slip still in position for Dhawan, this time beaten. 84 miles per hour, just angling across the left-hander, beaten outside the off stump.
And that's something you got to expect in English conditions. You know, the going might be good. Every now and then you'll get one that'll nip off the seam, as it's done here. Left the left-hander, beaten him outside the off stump. You've got to put that behind you and just focus on the next delivery and keep that intent going.
It's a fielder at mid-on, mid-off, extra cover. This time drops it just short, angling across once again. Cuts it with soft hands towards the fielder at deep cover. Just the 1 run. Score moves on to 76. Dhawan on 37. And Sri Lanka would have hoped for a couple of wickets, especially given the cover. It hasn't happened. What do you do now?
Well, you've lost the toss, you've chosen to field, now you've got to field. And unless you get wickets, you'll be chasing leather. Be rest assured.
8 per over gets India to 352. Sri Lanka wouldn't want to chase that this time. With outside the off stump, cut away. But straight finds the fielder at third man. Just the 1 run for Rohit Sharma. 34 of 46. Dhawan 37 of 48. He'll be facing now 77 for no loss.
And they complement each other well, both these players. It was Shikhar Dhawan who was the aggressor early on. In the game against Pakistan, it was Rohit Sharma who was the aggressor. And now that Rohit has found his game going, his touch, he's back on track.
Slip moves into a wideish position for Dhawan, this time up in the air. Short of length, dropped by Nuwan Pradeep. Dhawan playing a pull shot. Didn't really time it, or perhaps a controlled one. And just a single down towards fine leg. 78 for no loss. And both of them, they've been opening since the last 4 years for India. Champions Trophy 2013, that was when they started together. It's been a good partnership for India the last 4 years.
Excellent. And they complement each other, like I mentioned, well. Right hand, left hand batting combination, which is excellent.
4 runs so far from this over. Last ball onto the pads, drifted down towards the leg side and just played it down towards fine leg for a single to end the over. 5 from the 16th. It's 79 for no loss. Rohit on 35, Dhawan on 38. India came into this tournament a bit under the radar. People were always talking about England, South Africa, maybe a bit about Australia as well. And after that game against Pakistan, do you think India firmly in contention?
Oh, they were always in contention. I mean, only a fool who thought that they weren't in contention when they arrived here. They're in the top 3 teams in world cricket. So when you're in the top 3 on a given day, you can beat any team. But what is I think most heartening from India's point of view is I think Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma came into the tournament under the radar because both recovering from injuries, both were out of the team for a long time. Their form was a little suspect, but the fact that they spent time at the crease against Pakistan and got partnership going, that augurs well for India.
Gunatilaka will continue from the walks all end, just the 1 over so far, none for 6. He's bowling to Rohit Sharma. Backward point and cover in position, drops it short and towards cover and runs a quick single. And this is what we saw in the Pakistan game as well. Against the spinner, they dropped it short with soft hands and ran their singles and twos hard.
Yes, and that's a big advantage when you have a right hand, left hand batting combination. The bowler has to change his field, the captain has to be thinking all the time.
Tilaka from around the wicket, big shout, drifting down towards the leg side as Dhawan went in for the sweep. We'll have to wait for the umpire signal. Yes, that's a leg by. Score moves on to 81 for no loss.
Just a thought of going upstairs, but I think it missed leg stump. Shikhar doing well to get that front foot outside the line of off stump.
Once again, looking at the field, you have similar field to Rohit Sharma as on the first delivery. This time just covered, just stepping in a couple of steps in. The bowler coming from around the wicket, drifting down the leg side. Rohit also goes for a sweep. Work for the fielder down at fine leg. Puts in an attempt, puts in a dive, does Lasith Malinga, but only manages to push it down for 4. Rohit moves on to 40, 85 for no loss now for India in the 17th.
Easy helpings there for Rohit Sharma. Was drifting down the leg side. All he needed to do was get some bat on it. And once he got some bat, it raced away fine and into the fence. It's a quick outfield, so you get value for your shots.
And 6 runs already off this over so far. Just the 3 balls been bowled so far. Rohit Sharma facing again. And Lasith Malinga has been moved from that fine leg position. He's now at backward point. Perhaps the thinking that the spinner might again drift and the sweep will come into play once again. Gunatilaka to Rohit, this time on the off stump, who drives, finds that gap at extra cover, but there's a fielder in the deep, just the 1 run.
Yes, really good platform from where they can accelerate. Current run rate will get them to 260, around about 260. They won't be happy with that. They'll be looking 300 here, 300 plus. They've got all their wickets intact, good batting conditions now.
Just a bit of cloud cover though, but I think that's the forecast is that it'll stay during the day as Gunathilaka bowls to Dhawan. On the off stump, the batsman comes forward, drives, and straight back to the bowler.
I think Virat Kohli would have fielded first as well, just because of the conditions you mentioned, try and get a couple of early wickets.
India have a selection in terms of the conditions. They are playing just the one spinner, the same with in Birmingham as well. So it stands to reason that Kohli would have chosen to field first as well. This time Dhawan onto his back foot, plays a late cut to the fielder at backward point. And that's a dot delivery to end the over, but still 7 runs from that over. It's 86 for no loss after 17. 86 for no loss after 17. And just a word, Ravi, on the selection for India. It's always a tough call picking one out of Ravindra, Jadeja and Ashwin, but India have gone with the conditions.
Absolutely, and look at the format of the game you're playing. If this was Test match cricket, probably Ashwin would have got the upper hand, but in one-day cricket, how do you leave Jadeja out? He's a brilliant fielder, as you saw in that game against Pakistan. He bowls his overs economically. He's a useful hitter down the order. And then you have Hardik Pandya, who's ideal for these conditions. He's brisk. He's a terrific striker of the ball. He brings a lot of energy, to the Indian team when he's out there.
And it wasn't easy picking 3 paces out of 4 as well. I mean, leaving out Mohammad Shami, who is a fantastic bowler himself. So how tough was that decision?
I don't think that was tough because Shami is recovering from injury. He's not played much cricket. They've gone with the tried and tested trio. Bhuvneshwar, Kumar, Umesh, Yadav, they've played the whole season. And Bumrah, of course, with the kind of variety he has, with the awkward action he has, the mount he's learned from Malinga. He's one of the best in the business in this format of the game.
Right. The bowlers did the business against Pakistan as well. Today they will also get their opportunity. But for India, this is the start that they would have wanted. Obviously, not losing too many wickets. 86 for no loss after 17. Then Virat can come in and just play the middle overs before the big bang at the end.
They've got plenty of depth in their batting. But what you wanted to see was India not being complacent. Because with Pakistan beating South Africa yesterday and with the fickle weather around, you don't want to take chances. You've got the momentum with that win against Pakistan. What you want to do is keep that momentum going. And they know if they win today, they are in the semi-finals. They don't have to worry about the weather. They don't have to worry about who does what, in the group.
You're listening to India versus Sri Lanka. We are live from the Oval. You're listening on TalkSport 2 in the UK and on cricket radio around the world with former Indian cricketer and renowned commentator Ravi Shastri and me, Chetan Narula. It's 86 for no loss in 17 overs so far. Sri Lanka won the toss and opted to bowl first. A few changes for Sri Lanka as well. Angelo Matthews not bowling. How tough is that call? You have 10 overs from a leader, in fact, and they are not coming.
Yeah, that's because he is coming back from injury. They don't want to risk it. Just his presence out there in the middle should be very good from Sri Lanka's point of view. Let's not forget it's a young side. There are a lot of players who might never have played against India. I think a lot of players in that side who the Indians haven't seen, especially the young batsmen. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. You need that experience of Matthews in that middle order.
Bowling change from the pavilion end. It's Thisara Pereira who's been handed the ball with Rohit Sharma on strike. He's on 41. And the score is 86 for no loss. We just had a drinks break, the first drinks break in this game so far. It's not sunny, it's not bright, it's not hot. It's in fact cold and windy and cloudy as Thisara Pereira running in to Rohit Sharma, shot of length outside the off stump, who just guides it down towards third man for a single. Score moves on to 87 for no loss.
And the other thing, Chetan, if you look at this Indian side, you mentioned about Rohit and Shikhar Dhawan joining hands in the last Champions Trophy. So if you look at the nucleus of the side, there's still a lot of players who played in that, in that side. So it's an experienced side. There are some new youngsters, like Hardik Pandya who have come in.
Pereira this time to Shikhar Dhawan, who's 38 not out. The slip has gone out. He drops it short and tries to go for a run. Fielder at backward point converges on the ball quickly, and Rohit Sharma rightly sends Dhawan back. Still 87 for no loss.
And the only difference, you'll see more energy in the team. Not that MS Dhoni didn't bring energy to the table, but Virat Kohli, just his presence there will make sure the other 10 are on their toes.
He's always a busy captain, isn't he? I mean, always doing something, always changing something around. We saw that amply during the long home season, playing New Zealand, England, Australia and Bangladesh for a test as well. This time Pereira drifts down towards the leg side. Dhawan just clips it off his thighs down towards fine leg. Just a one run for Dhawan as well. He moves on to 39. The score 88 for no loss.
Yes, when you talk of Virat Kohli, he's like in-your-face kind of captain.
And you mentioned Hardik Pandya earlier. How important is it for him to, obviously he did well against Pakistan with both the bat and ball, but overall through the tournament, this nucleus has been built since 2013, and now we have the 2019 ODI World Cup coming up. We'll just come back to that question. It's Tisara Pereira to Rohit, just short of length on the off stump, played defensively for a dot delivery.
I think he's a very integral part of this Indian team. If one area where he's working on and he knows he's got to work on is his ability to bowl 10 overs, 8 or 10 overs on a regular basis. So he's working on that consistency. I think he still lacks a bit of concentration at times. Bowls 4 or 5 good overs, 6 overs, and then, has a big over going against him.
2 balls remaining this over. Bit shout from the bowler and the wicketkeeper. It's not out from the umpire. Ball just pegging back in, hitting Rohit Sharma, perhaps going a bit down leg side.
Very close, very close. He was half cock. It wasn't a big stride forward. They thought about going upstairs.
Perhaps a height
leg stump would have been umpire's call.
Last ball of this over, then just 2 from this over so far. Rohit Sharma facing short of length outside the off stump, cuts it away in front of point. But there is cover in the deep, and just a single 3 from this over. Then 18 gone. It's 89 for no loss.
It's just coming back to Hardik Pandya. Now, if he can get his act together and give those 10 overs, you'll never be discussing his position. He'll be a certainty, because he's a terrific batsman. He can be used as a floater. He can smack the spinners, play the big shots even against the quicks towards the end, and he can be used at any number. Like now, you've got off to a good start. You never know. He could come in a lot quicker than you think.
And just adding to that, I mean, experience in a tournament like this obviously helps, because especially the World Cup is 2 years away. And in the last game we saw he was promoted ahead of MS Dhoni. Yes, just the last couple of overs, but he was promoted. This time it's Gunatilaka coming from the Vauxhall and round the wicket to Rohit Sharma on the off stump, drives through that gap in extra cover, and just a single, 90 for no loss.
Yes, and that situation demanded it. The spinner was in operation, and you saw what he did. 3 sixes on the bounce. MS needs a little bit of time to get his eye in.
Gunatilaka to Dhawan, short of length on the middle leg, who's clipped it off his legs down towards square leg. Just the 1 run added. The score moving on to 91 for no loss. Yeah, you said that Pandya could come ahead ahead of Virat, perhaps?
Not Virat, but and he dare not suggest that either.
Yeah.
But he could come in any time after the 35th over, 36th over.
That's the utility of someone like Hardik Pandya. This one drifted on the middle and leg and just played off his pads down towards square leg. Just the 1 run for Rohit Sharma. He's moved on to 45. The score 92 for no loss. Just in breaching distance of the 100-run mark. The current run rate, pretty good, 4.97. With 10 wickets in hand, they can accelerate at any time. Bit change in the field. We have extra cover in position and also a bit of a silly mid-off for Shikhar Dhawan, who goes onto his back foot and just hits the ball straight to mid-wicket. Into his 3rd over now is Gunatilaka, none for 15 so far. This time dancing down the wicket, meets the ball on the full, not timing it properly, but back to the bowler. Just the one ball remaining this over, 3 runs from it so far. The spinner going through his overs quickly, but he's been expensive. Gunatilaka, last delivery from the Vauxhall, and this time finds the gap. There'll be work for the fielder in the deep, who's stationed at deep cover, but he cuts it off. The batsman crossing over for 2 runs. Good shot there from Dhawan, who moves on to 42, 94 for no loss after 19.
Yes, good platform, really good platform from where India can accelerate. I think you'll see in a little while there'll be more calculated risks being taken by both these players, not just one, both.
And that was the last comment from Ravi Shastri for the time being as he leaves us. It's 94 for no loss after 19. Rohit Sharma on 45, approaching his second consecutive half century in this tournament. As the same for Shikhar Dhawan as well. 42 not out for him. Score 94 for no loss after 19, as I'm joined in by England international Gareth Barry. And it is Tisara Pereira continuing from the pavilion end. 2 overs, none for 7. This time fuller delivery on the off stump. Rohit plays it defensively.
Yeah, I've come in at a time when it's looking pretty ominous for Sri Lanka. The 2 Indian openers have played beautifully so far. There's been no movement for the bowlers off a wonderful surface, certainly nothing lateral. There's a little bit of bounce without it being too quick or too steep.
Pereira continuing. Rohit facing this time, short of lane just outside the off stump. Rohit has swiveled and pulled in. That's fielder was coming under it. He makes an attempt, but the ball goes over the boundary through his hands. It's the first 6 of the game. Rohit Sharma brings up his half century in style.
Oh, that's pretty unlucky there for the bowler. He's got the bouncer nice and high as you want it from a bowling point of view. Rohit certainly wasn't in control of that, sort of hitting the splice of the bat. But the good thing for Rohit was he got it up in this very strong wind and carried out to the boundary, where it would have been an incredible catch had he have been able to do one of the spectacular things we see in the modern day of catch it, jump over the boundary with the ball still in the air and manage to jump back in. He was unable to do that.
India's 100 is also up. It is the 31st ODI half century for Rohit Sharma. This time again a bit fuller, but outside the off. He wanted to play with soft hands, perhaps directed down the ground, but a bit of an inside edge play and a miss there from Rohit.
Yeah, he's just starting to get a little bit of tail, isn't he, the bowler from that end, and it's with the wind that's coming from right to left. It's helping Pereira just bring it into the right-handed batsman. Are we seeing a tiny bit of reverse swing? I think it's probably a little bit early for that, so I would suggest it's the wind.
100 for no loss now. India, great start for them after being put in. This time again dropped short. This time 6. Is that 6 again? Yes, it is. The umpire goes for 6. Short of length outside the off stump. Rohit getting an opportunity to swing his arms once again. Pulls it, and this time flying straight, flatter, but flying straight and hits the boundary. What, advertisement bound on the boundary rope?
Yeah, it hit the advertising boards on the boundary. This time Pereira getting it slightly wrong. I reckon this is a bit more sort of long hop rather than a genuine bouncer, and Sharma's just far too good for this. He's got on top of the bounce and whacked it.
Had a lot of time to spot that one. Fuller delivery from Tisara this time on the off stump, dot delivery. Had a lot of time to spot that one. 81 miles per hour. Dropped short, and Rohit is obviously going to capitalise on that.
Yeah, I think that's what we know about this oval surface, that if you really commit to the bouncer and bowl it hard into the pitch, you will get something out of it. But that one, I don't think he really committed to it. And a player of Rohit's ability and time, just in general, he found his spot and smacked it out of the ground.
2 sixes for Rohit Sharma, then 57 off 61, this time off the middle end leg, and played off his pads down to the fielder at square leg. And just a 1 run to end the over. Rohit has galloped on to 58, 13 runs from that last over. It's 107 for no loss after 20 overs.
Yeah, the interesting thing, since I was last on commentary, the lights have come on in the ground. And the one thing from playing here regularly, generally with the lights on, you would say can favour the bowler a little bit. The pitch just freshens up a little bit, generally because of the dank conditions. It just juices and you get a little bit of lateral movement, and sometimes it just stays in the pitch a little bit more. As we're seeing at the minute, none of that is happening. It just looks an absolute belter of a pitch to bat on.
Thisara Pereira none for 20 from his 3 overs so far, and Gunatilaka will now continue from the Vauxhall end, none for 17. Sri Lanka need a wicket here, really. Do you see one coming from anywhere?
No, I think at the minute they're looking for batsman error. I don't really see anything too special from the bowling department.
Gunatilaka then continues from around the wicket, trying to cram the batsman on the middle and leg stump, who goes and plays it off his pads down towards square leg. Quick running between the wickets from the two. Very good at it. 2 runs, 109 for no loss in the 21st over.
It's the class of the man, isn't it? He's hit 2 out of the ground the last over. This time he's got a deft touch. Wonderful skill just to be able to knock the ball with enough pace to get it past the straight mid-wicket, but not too much pace to get the 2.
This time fuller delivery on the off, just played it back to the bowler.
We're not really seeing any spin from the off-spinner from this end. Would he get a little bit more from over the wicket? I'm not too sure. I don't think there's a lot there for him.
Gunatilaka this time, Rohit playing an aerial shot, taking the aerial route, comes forward and beats the fielder who was stationed at mid-off. He never had a chance, did he? Another boundary, his 5th boundary. He's moved on to 64, 113 for no loss.
Yeah, he's got the big man Lakmal at mid-off, the big fast bowler. Didn't really move as agile as you would be needing to. It would have been a spectacular catch to get it, but Rohit again chipping down the wicket. Beautiful straight back, launched over mid-off. Wonderful batting. 6 runs off this over, 13 of the previous one, 19 of the last 9 deliveries. This time slapped it back to the bowler. Not enough bat on it, just a dot delivery. And suddenly Rohit looking to push the accelerator here. Yeah, I think they're looking at a very, very big total.
Beaten outside the off stump, just dropped a bit short of length, going across the batsman. He was in 2 minds whether to play it onto the leg side or play it straight, and good comeback from Gunatilaka. This time Rohit Sharma just beaten outside the off stump. Last delivery of the 21st over then, it's 113 for no loss. Played with soft hands, dropped it short, and in front of the fielder at mid-off. Crosses over for a run, 7 off the over. It's 114 for no loss as Rohit moves on to 65. A brief comment from Garth Batty, and then we'll have Jim Proudfoot taking the action forward.
Yeah, the one thing about the field the off-spinner's got set there is incredible. He's got a short third man, a backward point, a sort of cover point, and then he's got his deep fielder on the offside, like a deep extra cover, and mid-off is up in the circle. His leg side field looks a bit more traditional, with a deep square leg, a deep mid-wicket and a long on with just a mid-wicket. He's obviously trying to come round the wicket to do the right-handers on the outside edge, but it's not working quite as he wants at the minute, but certainly very interesting field. I've never seen anything like it before, really.
Well, they need some inspiration. 114 without loss at the start of the 22nd over, and the first ball of that 22nd over is just flicked off the legs by Rohit Sharma for a single. Takes him up to 66. 66 not out off 69 balls, and that for a man whose reputation is that he's not the most aggressive, quickest scorer. His one-day international strike rate is 84, and his 91 came at a strike rate of only 76 the other day. Shikhar Dhawan now just gives himself a little bit of room. It's excellent fielding and a real stinger as it was taken by Gunatilaka. Just got his hands to it, and then having stopped it after the bounce, he just really felt the hands and starts shaking them. But he's okay. It's been a little bit expensive with 24 off his 4 overs so far. Thisara with 21 off the 3.2 that he's bowled so far. He's going over a run of ball at the moment as he comes in again from the pavilion end to the left-handed Dhawan, and that time it's beaten Gunatilaka and will just drift away, and they'll go through for a single. 115 without loss, bats.
Yeah, and it's at that stage in the game, it's an obvious thing to say they need the wicket, but even more so against a team like India, and particularly a player like Rohit Sharma, who's got the double hundreds in the one-day format. He's a player that goes on and hurts you. He'll strike at around about the 100 now, yes, but wow, once he pushes the foot down later on in the innings, he can take the game away in the matter of 2 or 3 overs.
Thisara coming in again past the umpire, bowls, and it's straight a ball of full length, which is just defended back by Rohit Sharma. He's hit the 2 sixes that we've seen so far. Glad to say it's brightening up a little bit. I've been out while Chaitan was commentating, just out in the India fans away to the left-hand side, and it got a little bit dark. The lights came on. I looked at the weather radar, The forecast actually today is pretty good. It's going to be cloudy all day. But the expected shower for mid-morning hasn't materialised, and I think it's going to stay dry for this innings. As Tizara comes in again, and on the back foot, it's just poked forward pretty comfortably down to mid-off, and again there's no run, and he's put the brakes on it pretty effectively in this over so far, just 2 off it.
Yeah, in between stints, I went down to see the groundsman just to see what he had on the radar for us weather-wise, and he's basically saying most of it's going to blow through. The wind is quite strong. If we got anything, it's going to be sort of 5-6 o'clock tonight, so fingers crossed we get the full game in.
Tizara coming in, final ball of the over from the pavilion end, and again Rohit Sharma happy to take a pretty defensive line of action. There's no run off that final ball. 116 without loss after 22 overs, which is by and large what they were in the game against Pakistan the weekend in Birmingham. They scored 110 off the first 20, so they're going at a similar rate, just a shade under it, but 5 1/4. The foundation is laid for a big score here. If they go at 8 and over from here, which you would think would be relatively realistic, that would take them to 340.
Yeah, and the one thing certainly I know about playing at the Oval, once people put their foot down and they're looking to strike with the boundaries, manipulate the field, and looking to really put pressure on the bowlers, once that momentum starts building, it's very difficult to stop. So as you said, India have built a wonderful foundation here to really fly out in those last 15 overs of the game, if not a little bit before, if they keep going as they are. As Sri Lanka bring back their talisman Malinga, this is obviously to try and get a wicket that's so desperately needed for them.
They need a breakthrough, they need inspiration. Malinga bowling to Dhawan, it's very wide outside off stump, too wide, and it is a wide signal. 117 without loss. Now, talking about Rohit Sharma and the scores that he makes, and the fact that he tends to go on and get big scores, he's got 5 scores of 140 or more in one-day international cricket, including a 209 against Australia and that famous 264, the world record 264 against Sri Lanka in Kolkata back in November 2014. But other scores, 171 not out, he's had 150, 141 not out. I mean, he gets daddy hundreds. When he's up there in 3 figures, he tends to cash in. Only once has he been out for less than 120 once he's got to a century. Malinga coming in again, right arm over the wicket with his energetic, bustling start, and he got the radar set much more accurately that time, closer to off stump, deliberately left by Shikhar Dhawan, goes through for a dot. 117 without loss here on TalkSport 2 in the UK and cricket radio around the world.
Yeah, the one thing we get in modern day cricket that probably didn't happen 10 years ago, you get your stat packs. There'll be a few Sri Lankan players who've just read those stats last night, what you've just read out, and they'll be thinking, oh, blimey, please Malinga, get this fella out, or else it's going to be one heck of a long day for us.
Malinga coming in again off his 17-18 pace run-up, and that one he's just dropped in a little bit shorter. It was a flashing shot which was saved in the covers, but it will still be a single. Decent fielding there by Chandamal. Another one. It is a coldish day because of the wind. They reckon that the temperature has a real feel of about 10 or 11, which in the first week of June is pretty cold.
The sort of day you don't want too many guys running down the pitch and lashing them at extra cover like he just did there. Those hands will be smarting now, and they'll be feeling like a cartoon character, double the size as he stood there at extra cover with, unfortunately, Rohit Sharma shaping up, probably looking to do the same thing to him.
It is Sharma, the right-handed batsman, now on strike. 118 without loss. Put on 136 for the first wicket the other day, 118 for the first wicket so far today, off 136 balls as well, so they've come at a good rate. Malinga coming in again, round-shouldered, past the umpire, slings it in, and it's a very accurate ball, which is just prodded away by Rohit Sharma for no run.
Yeah, it looks to me like obviously Sri Lanka have turned to their talisman in Malinga, and the field he's got set, he's got a deep square leg, he's got deep fine leg, and then he's got a mid-on. The offside field, his third man point on the boundary, 2 men sort of on square, backward point and point, extra cover mid-off, which suggests he's going to try and shut down the leg side of the field and maybe surprise him with a bouncer with the 2 men out for his wicket option.
Malinga coming in again, past the umpire, and that one a little bit of width, and it's unceremoniously dispatched with aplomb through the deep extra cover area for another boundary. Sharma moves up to 70 not out of 74 balls, a score to 122 without loss.
Wow, if ever you need confirmation of a good playing surface, we've just got it there. Rohit Sharma, minimal foot movement, a little bit back and across, front foot stayed where it was. That was it, straight back, whack, straight through extra cover. Wonderful shot, wonderful back path from him to clear the gap between extra cover and mid-off. But from a bowling point of view now, there are definitely a few Sri Lankans out there panicking.
Malinga coming in again. This is his fifth over of his allotted 10. That one is shorter, and it's just paddled away. It was expected. Gareth, you called it that the short one was going to come in, and he just watched it onto the bat and flat batted it round the corner where Pereira can field, and they'll just trot through for a single. 6 off the over with 1 ball to come, or 7 off the over should I say, because there was a wide off the first ball. So 1 ball still to come. Scoreline up to 123 without loss, but Sharma just looking so composed and confident, just helping that one on its way. 1 ball left of Malinga's over then. This will take him up to halfway stage of his bowling innings, still waiting for his first wicket of the tournament. That a barren spell against South Africa in Sri Lanka's opening game. In he comes again, past the umpire, and that one shortish, just flicked away off the hips by Shikhar, who keeps the strike. 124 without loss.
Yeah, it's looking very ominous. A couple of short balls there that he's bowled in the over. Interesting, he's bowled them at different angles and heights. We've already said that he's got quite a low arm, low trajectory. So the last one that he bowled at Dhawan, then he actually released it from quite low, almost out of the umpire's left ear. Whereas the one before that he bowled to Rohit, he actually lifted his arm a little bit, trying to get it up and in the ear of the right-handed batsman, trying to get him to hit it up and at the 2 fielders that he's got out on the boundary. So really interesting, 2 totally opposite balls. Same outcome from the batting point of view, but it just shows you've got to be right on your toes as a batsman when Malinga's performing.
Well, these two met in the Champions Trophy in 2013. It was a game in Cardiff. India won it comprehensively, won by 8 wickets in the semi-final that day, and they're well on top here as well. The first ball of the 24th over, bowled by Tizara from the pavilion end, no run. It was Shikhar who top scored that day, 68 in India's comfortable 8-wicket victory, having restricted Sri Lanka to 181 in their innings. Good World Cup history between the two nations as well. The first ever meeting of the two nations in an ODI was at Old Trafford back in 1979. Sri Lanka won that day by 47 runs and then beat India twice in India in the 96 World Cup. Tizara again in a good length, and one just fended away by Dhawan for another dot.
A cold day, but watching the crowd now, the Mexican waves going around, they're hotting up. They're expecting a big finish to this innings from the Indian fellas. All the flags now are getting thrown up in the air. They're not wrapping themselves up in them any longer. They're getting thrown around. It's getting very partisan out there.
It is partisan support for the Indians. Shikhar, just an appeal for LB. It was a muted one. It was just flicked away, and will be a leg by. 125 without loss. And that brings Sharma back onto strike. What do you do if you're the bowling side? You've rotated your bowlers, you've had them bowling from either end. Blackman's had a spell from each end. You've tried spin, you've tried everything. And other than the one that brought Sharma his 50, that just caught the wind and sailed over square leg for 6, it's hardly been a chance so far. At that time it's just prodded away, and it's another single taken at short order to Gunnar Tilaka. 126 without loss. What do you do? What advice could you offer Angelo Matthews here?
Well, there's not too much you can do. You've tried everything. The one thing you can do is you can keep the fielders hunting, try and help the bowlers out by pulling off a spectacular catch, a wonderful run out. Pereira's actually bowled quite nicely here. If he took the 2 bounces out that went for 6, he's bowled a good spell.
Again, it's a very circumspect forward defensive shot by Dhawan. And there's no run. A little bit of rain just coming down now. The The Indian supporters, particularly those away to the left-hand side, have got the umbrellas out very quickly. But we're saying the pace of the breeze here is seeming as though it's just going to blow it through. There's no thought of them coming off at the moment. Sarah in again, and that one just short of a length is played away very comfortably down into the cover area where they run through for a single. It doesn't look as though they're going to come off. That's the last ball of the 24th over. So 1 over short of the halfway stage, 127 without loss. And those predictions of a score of around 330, 340 still look as though they could be coming to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably, I would suggest they're looking at a minimum if they have a sort of bad last 10, 15 overs, they're probably looking minimum 300. But almost the sky's the limit from this point. They've got a wonderful platform in which to compile what will be a massive score either way. And these two will start putting the foot down a little bit more pretty soon, I reckon.
Malinga coming in again for his 6th over, and that one was wide, and it was bludgeoned away. An absolutely beautiful shot. Shikhar Dhawan leaning into it, and it brings up his 50. 50 off 69 balls with 6 fours. Another excellent innings. Back-to-back half-centuries for Shikhar Dhawan, and he's brought it up in emphatic style.
It was a great shot. He absolutely climbed into this. Malinga a little bit full and a little bit wide. Only fractions, but we know about Dhawan, if you give him any width whatsoever, front foot, back foot, it doesn't matter. He throws his hands through the ball beautifully. Got a great balance in the shot there, big stride, and flayed it through extra cover. And as you said, brings up his 50. He's been relatively pedestrian by his standards, but what a wonderful player he is in full flight. And we've just seen, hopefully, the start of what's going to expand in his innings.
Malinga coming round the wicket now to the left-hander, and again just affords him a little bit of room outside his off stump, but it's a more measured shot that just brings him a single. So the throw comes in. 132 without loss, so almost up with the first wicket stand that they had, which I think I'm right in saying is the biggest opening wicket stand of the tournament so far this year. The biggest score of the tournament so far. Looks as though it could be on the cards. Highest ever score at the Oval for Sri Lanka, 319. So looks as though they're going to have to chase more than that today as Malinga comes in again, and that one back of the length is just fended off, and there's no run. 132 without loss on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I think from playing some domestic games here, 319 you'd be pretty happy with most times from a bowling unit. We've had scores in excess of 400 here, admittedly with some slightly shorter boundaries to one side every now and again, but once batters get in, they do like batting here, and these two are certainly wonderful players, and they're enjoying the batting at the minute.
Malinga again back over the wicket now to the right-hander, and that one is short and hooked away. Is it a maximum? It must be close. It is. Just cleared the boundary, and that's his 3rd 6 from Rohit Sharma. Takes him up to 78 not out. Another wonderful shot from a man right on top of his game.
It's a cruel game. I reckon Malinga's done him here. I reckon he's actually got one in the great area. It's a bouncer. He's got it underneath his left ear, hitting towards where he's got his 2 fielders, but he's got sort of a bit of a top edge on it. I suppose it's the risk with bowling a short ball, and it's flown into the boundary boards down there at fine leg, but you're definitely saying that's a top edge rather than a full-blown smack into the crowd. A little bit unlucky there from a bowler.
138 without loss. Malinga again into Rohit Sharma, and again he's gone short, and again he's trying to give him the same treatment, and he's put it straight down the throat of fine leg. Victory for the bowler, and Rohit Sharma is out for 78. He hit Malinga for 6, one that he got a top edge to, and he didn't time the subsequent one either. And an excellent innings comes to an end, but credit to Malinga. His first wicket of the tournament is a crucial one as far as Sri Lanka are concerned. Won't necessarily be able to put the brakes on it, but it was well caught by Tizara Pereira down at fine leg, watched it into his hands, and the opening stand comes to an end. 138 for 1 as Sharma is out, caught Tizara Pereira, bowled Malinga for 78.
Brilliant piece of bowling. Absolute 100% credit to the bowler here. The batter didn't do too much wrong apart from getting out, obviously, but brilliant bowling from Malinga. Set the field, set the trap. The ball before, he was unlucky. Followed it up with another good bounce in and around the left ear. Sharma actually played it a little bit better. He just tried to ride it around the corner, but the ball got a bit big on him. He couldn't keep it down. He could only manage to find fine leg, but take nothing away from Malinga there. On what is a batting paradise out there, the surface, he's produced something to get a wicket and get his team back in the game. Brilliant piece of bowling from Malinga.
Yeah, he's worked hard for that. His first wicket of the tournament, 1 for 35. Doesn't sound like a great morning's work for him, but he was unlucky with the 6, and it was all, as it turned out, part of the tactical master plan anyway. But just when you think that things are slipping away from me, we're back in the game. Here comes Virat Kohli.
Just averaging the mere 53 in one-day internationals. This fella's had a quite exceptional period in all forms of the game, but certainly the last 2 or 3 years he's taken the game to new levels. He's in the pack with your De Villiers, your Roots of the world, the Amlers, the great Williamson, the great players of the modern era. He's right up there, evolving this wonderful game of ours.
81 not out off his 68 balls against Pakistan on Sunday. And Kohli takes strike. Wonderful ovation for him as he came out, and he's had a wide no. The umpire thought about it, but wide of off stump, not too wide of off stump, and Malinga takes his cap, having taken his first wicket of the tournament. 1 for 35 from his 6 overs. India won 38 for 1 at the halfway stage off 25 overs. Rohit Sharma, the man out, caught by Tizara Pereira off the bowling of Malinga for 78 off 79 balls. And now Kohli into bat, a man who scored 6 centuries against Sri Lanka in his career. He averages, as Gareth was saying, 53 and a bit. In his ODI career, he averages 56 against Sri Lanka. He once scored 3 successive centuries against them as well back in 2012. He's got the best average in India ODI history, and he's come to the crease with his opening batsman having laid a foundation again, as they did at the weekend in Birmingham, of some proportion. Pradeep back into the attack, and he's bowling at Shikhar Dhawan, who's 51 not out. He's turned that one off his legs, and it's fielded down on the boundary by Kusal Pereira, and they come through for a single. Gareth has left us. Alex Tudor is back. Tudes, we talked about 340 as being realistic, and we've seen nothing in the last hour or so that makes me think that we've overestimated India's ability here. But it was an excellent piece of bowling from Malinga, which is a paceman you'll have really appreciated.
Yeah, without doubt. As a bowler, he went the ball before.
As Pradeep comes in here from the pavilion end, and Kohli just pokes it away, no run.
He went for the ball before, done the batsman, as Gareth rightly said, but he got a top edge, went for 6. Angelo Matthews was waving his hands, telling his fielder to go a bit finer, go finer. Dug it in again, went in his left ear, and outdone him. It was good bowling, and especially on that wicket and the way that Rohit was shaping up. And you were alluding to the totals he gets after he gets to 100.
Pradeep in again to Kohli, who lets that one go outside off stump, no run. Just having a little sighter here, Virat Kohli. 3 balls that he's faced so far without being able to knock the ball off the square, just leaving the last 2 of those. 139 for 1 after 25. So the run rate already at the period of the game where India are renowned for more conservative batting, the run rate is already 5.5 and over. As Pradeep comes in again, and Kohli just plays at that one and pokes it forward, and the offside comfortably fielded, and again there's no run, fielded by Chandimal.
It'd be no real rush. These quality batsmen, and they do take their time. You don't have to go off from the set. They're just, assess the wicket. He was sitting in the pavilion watching Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan do their work and putting the foundation, getting that great start. And he'll just give himself a bit of time.
The sun pokes his head through here in Kennington as Pradeep, has he got him? He has got him. He's got Kohli out without scoring. Caught behind. It was an excellent ball, short of a length. He just had a waft at it outside his off stump, and he's carried through, and Kohli's out for naught. and they're 139 for 2. That's a massive blow as far as India are concerned, and the Oval in stunned silence.
Yeah, what can you say? I was being mindful not to say anything about I've come to watch him bat and all that sort of thing, because normally, you know, the never ball happens. It happened the other day when AB walked to the wicket, but you can tell by the stunned silence of the crowd, the Indian fans. There's a lot of fans, hands in head. A few of the ladies were looking like they wanted to shed a tear, but the great man is walking back. It's sort of that nothing shot, that sort of one-day release shot down to third man, but because, you know, he's new to the wicket, there was a fielder in there, but he got too much of the bat on it. Just went through to the keeper, Chandamal, and Dick Weller. It went through to Dick Weller, and disappointing for him, but it gives another opportunity for another batsman to stake a claim. And the way Yuvraj bat the other night, listen, he's on another very good wicket here. He could go big.
Well, still waiting for the new batsman to come in. I think if you're Yuvraj Singh, you kind of think, well, I've got all the time in the world. Kohli's just gone to the crease. I've got half an hour and a half, 2.5 hours just to sort myself out here. But he comes on now. Yuvraj is waiting. I think Shikhar Dhawan has just used it as an excuse for a toilet break, perhaps, the loss of the wicket. So Yuvraj will come on and take strike. The man who's hit 14 one-day international centuries, 4 of them against England. Got a good record in England. Hasn't played against Sri Lanka since 2011, Yuvraj Singh. In fact, he's not got a good record against them. He's only scored 1 century against Sri Lanka in 49 innings in ODI cricket. That was 117 in Colombo back in 2009. The most experienced player in this Indian side is 298th one-day international today. He's come to the crease more quickly than he would have anticipated after Kohli's 5th ball duck. And the left-hander will take strike now. And Pradeep didn't quite square him up, but he was forced to get everything behind it, and he just rehearses the shot as he pokes it back. And what an excellent over that was from Pradeep. A wicket in it, that of Kohli as well. Caught behind off his 5th ball for a duck, just the 1 off the over. And India 139 for 2. It's been an excellent 10 or 15 minutes for Sri Lanka, getting the crucial wickets of both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, the one positive for Sri Lanka last game against South Africa here at the Oval was Pradeep. He bowled really, really well in the run fest that South Africa got, nearly just under 300, 299. He bowled a fantastic 10 overs, and he could have been very proud of his work, and he's taken it on again today. His 6 overs have just cost him 25, and he's got the big wicket of Kohli.
Malinga coming in round the wicket, and it was full toss, which is knocked away. No run, 139 for 2. Pradeep took 2 for 54 in that game, which they were well beaten by South Africa. And has just created a slight problem with the run rate, such was the margin of the defeat. And the run rate is going to be much more important in the other group, which I'm sure is something we'll be discussing as the day goes on. New Zealand up against it to some extent. Here's Malinga coming in again, right on round the wicket, and again he's really put his back into that, but he just dropped it short. It was on a plate for the flat batted shot through mid-wicket for 4. Shikhar Dhawan's 7th boundary, 143 for 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of venom in that. And as Sir Clive was saying at the back of the box to me and John Norman earlier, fetch that. He hit that extremely hard, just rocked back on the back foot, pulled it well in front of square. And one thing that does tell you is that he's seeing it very, very well. Malinga may just have to change his length here.
Has the ball back in his hand, he's back on the edge of his run, and just spits disdainfully away down towards his left-hand side. 2 or 3 steps forward at walking pace before really galloping into his stride. He comes past the umpire now, and again it's at a very full length. They're trying to induce a shot from Dhawan, who makes no contact, and it goes through to Dick Weller, and there's no run. 143 for 2. Just looking at the way that India did their scoring in that match against Pakistan, 37 off the first 10 overs, 73 off the next 10, and then remarkably consistent. They scored at 5 and over pretty much consistently through the next 20, and then they really went for it with wickets in hand, and they're laying themselves the foundation for a similar late onslaught here today. Malinga coming in again, past the umpire, right arm round the wicket, and again it's just swung in towards Shikhar Dhawan, who can fend it forward, but there's no run, and it's another excellent over, with the exception of the boundary. It's been another good over here from Malinga, and Sri Lanka have done a good job of putting the brakes back on India's runaway train in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, he just come round the wicket and, just as you say, not giving Shikhar Dhawan any room. He loves width, he loves the offside, and he's just bowling nice and tight to the stumps, not giving him any room whatsoever. Good bowling here from Malinga.
A couple of balls left in this, his 7th over, so he's only got 3 overs left after this one. Runs in again, still round the wicket, and it's driven quite majestically down to the extra cover boundary for 4. Shikhar Dhawan up to 60, 147 for 2.
Yeah, just a little fall from Malinga that time. As you said, the balls previously, just bowling it, just the top of off stump. That one, he just gone very full, and as you say, Shikhar Dhawan loves playing through that offside. Cracking shot through cover, extra cover for 4 runs. 4 had no chance.
Malinga looks a little bit frustrated. Goes back to his mark, receives the ball from his captain Angelo Matthews, receives some words of wisdom as well. Dhawan up into the 60s again. He got 68 in that match against Pakistan. Malinga's dropped the ball, retrieves it now, rubs it, gives it a real polish on his trousers, on his right leg, and now runs in again, full pelt. Bowling to Shikhar Dhawan, and that one trying to restrict the width, but it was still get out very easily on the offside. Down to deep point, and they'll trot through for a single, and he's been able to take the strike. 9 off the Malinga over, 148 for 2. Shikhar Dhawan up to 61 from his 77 balls. That's a strike rate of 79, which is slightly slower than his strike rate throughout his career. I mean, he got that 68 against Pakistan at better than a run a ball the other day, and he bats at 90 generally through his ODI career. Just out of 79 today, but as we've been saying, it's just they've been able to lay this foundation. It's going to be Nuwan Pradeep again, the right arm fast medium. Coming in from the pavilion end. Excellent over last time out. Got Kohli, 1 for 25 from his 6 overs so far. Very impressive and merited figures. Pradeep coming in, right arm over the wicket, past the umpire now, and it's flicked away off the legs by Dhawan, and they'll look for a second as it was played that time through down towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, and they'll come back for that second. 150 for 2, and 150 coming up in the first ball of the 28th over.
Margin for error, Jim, on this wicket is so minimal. You know, Malinga bowled 4 good deliveries in that last over. The 2 that he bowled bad got punished, and I just think your margin for error, you just can't allow those sort of bad balls. You just got, your skill level has to be on point, because a good over could turn into a very bad over very, very quickly.
That last 50, incidentally, coming up off just 47 balls. They have lost the 2 wickets within that spell. Pradeep changes the line of attack. He's round the wicket this time to the left-handed Shikhar Dhawan, who has hit that one a square, and they'll come through for a single. Dhawan moves up to 64, 151 for 2.
And you would like to think with international bowlers that, you know, more often than not they can bowl the ball in that same spot, but you know, when the wickets are so good, the batsmen are finding different ways of where they can try and hit you off your line. Then you're trying to strive for a different delivery, and as soon as you do, they just pounce on it, because the wicket's just so true. The bounce, the carry, everything's just so good. Batsmen love batting here at the Oval.
Pradeep coming in again, round the wicket, and Yuvraj is off the mark. He's got to be quick, and it was an excellent piece of backing up as well, because as the ball was just fended away into the cover area, it was a throw at the non-striker's end as Yuvraj tried to make his ground, and it was an errant one. It went well over the top of the stumps, and I think it was Chandamal, and it was an excellent piece of backing up, and made sure that it didn't go for 4 overthrows. They just take the one, but Yuvraj is off the mark. The strike back to Shikhar Dhawan, who's really got his eye in here. Not the tallest. That's an excellent piece of fielding as he's cut that one back just to backward point, and that fielding stops there being any run. And it was Gunnar Talaka, who's done a lot of good fielding in that kind of area, who got his hands behind it, very athletic, and getting off the ground, the all-rounder, to stop any runs. 152 for 2. And Pradeep again changes his line of attack, comes over the wicket this time in towards the left-hander, and that should beat the field as it does for 4. Just played away to a backward square leg, and Dhawan rolling onto his heels, and he bisected the gap between the two outriders absolutely beautifully. It's his 9th boundary, and India move up to 156 for 2.
Jim, that shot just reminded me, in the morning when the guys are having throwdowns or whatever, sometimes you get a coach and he underarms you a ball when you want to practice the pull shot. He played that with the ease of like it was an underarm. He just, the ball got quite high around the shoulder height, but he just swiveled and just placed it very nicely between the man up fine leg and deep square. Absolutely no chance.
Final ball of Pradeep's 7th over, and that time he's gone the other way, and it will be the same result. Absolutely no chance for Suranga Lakmal on the boundary. He took 6 steps to his left-hand side, but the ball was already at the fence. Successive boundaries to end the over. 12 off that over from Pradeep, ruining some pretty good figures up to that point. 160 for 2 as India begin to turn the screw. And after another word from Alex, to continue the commentary, will be TalkSport's John Norman.
Yeah, Shikhar Dhawan's just trying to keep this massive Indian contingent here. The fans very happy, obviously, with the loss of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli in very close. The sort of crowd, the sort of mood went down a little bit. Shikhar Dhawan's keeping that mood going because the runs are flowing off his bat, and he just looks in fantastic touch. And as I said earlier, margin for error on this wicket is very, very minimal. He's just strayed in line twice, and he got punished by Shikhar Dhawan. Fantastic batting, and in between that, they're running between the wickets is very good, and that's what you need to do. Rotate the strike. Afternoon, Johnny.
Good afternoon to you, mate. Well, wickets and runs in that last commentary spell from Jim Proudfoot. A bit like when you used to come on to bowl, eh?
Well, something always used to happen. It never was dull when I bowled. It was either I went in the bush or I got wickets. And to be fair, more often than not, when I was at Surrey, I got a few wickets, Johnny.
You did indeed, and I enjoyed watching you get those wickets as well. 160 for 2. Sri Lanka picked up a couple. They need a couple more because Yuvraj Singh and Shikhar Dhawan at the crease can score very, very quickly, as we've seen from Dhawan so far. And it's Gunatilaka opening up. First ball of his 5th. He's just played into the covers for a single. So 161 for 2, the start of the 29th. A couple of moments ago, you might have heard the sound of paper being ripped up at the back of the commentary box. It was all those stats carefully crafted ahead of Virat Kohli as he went. This has crashed through the covers, and it'll beat the fielder running from wide of long off. Another boundary to Dhawan, and it really is symptomatic of the modern game, isn't it, Alex? Back in the day, a wicket or two would bring an immediate reduction in the run rate. No more. If anything, Dhawan started scoring quicker and heavier than when Sharma and Kohli were at the crease.
Well, I think he knows that this is a very good wicket, and they just have to keep going. As you say, 300 plus is a must on this wicket.
Gunatilaka is in. He's bowling right arm round the wicket, and this is played nicely. Drop a bit of tip and run there. 166 for 2. And I tell you what, the mark of a quality batsman is that when he's at the crease, Gunatilaka is in again, wide of the crease. This is angling into the left-handed Yuvraj Singh, played into the covers. He remains 2 not out. In again. And he's beaten on the inside there, Yuvraj, who goes for a flat-footed drive. Gunatilaka just putting his hand to his mouth. Very close to chopping onto his off-stump there. Yuvi, as the crowd here have been singing out over the last over or two. Slightly slower from Gunatilaka. And that is a dot ball to finish the over. But the point I was making, Alex, is when Rohit Sharma was at the crease and Kohli came in, the likes of yourself and Sir Clive and Always Sharp at the back, you're jumping around. There's no kind of been there, seen it, done it attitude. There's a, did you see that shot? You want to see these guys. They just take batting to a new level. You were saying earlier on as well that you didn't see a single Sri Lankan on the way to the ground. Well, I think we spotted a couple, didn't we?
We have, yeah. Especially when Kohli got out, all of a sudden they decided to show themselves.
Absolutely.
A flurry of flags in the Lakers stand.
Yeah, the Lakers stand suddenly became Colombo, I think. It was like, oh, there you are. Oh, they are here. Oh, the producer, Sal's, is pointing to a couple. Oh, yes, just to the left of the commentary box. Just on the far side of the OCS.
Yeah.
Sri Lankan flag being held proudly. Shorter delivery from Tessara Pereira, who is bowling from the pavilion end, and defensively played by Dhawan. He's 77, Yuvraj Singh 2 not out. These two, of course, teammates not just for India but for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Won the IPL in 2016 and had, well, Dhawan very consistent this year. Yuvraj Singh was a little bit hit or miss. When he hit, he was man of the match and they won games, but you never quite know what to expect from Yuvraj Singh, as Dhawan just gets a little bit of Bollywood dancing out by the wicket. You can see the crowd appreciated that. All smiles on his face, and he's continuing to do so. Short delivery, played down, and he was just for a second concerned the ball might have rolled onto his stumps. No, nothing doing there. And a little bit of river dance, a bit of a shimmy from Dhawan, elicited a big roar from the crowd just to the left of us in the OCS before the just sitting in front of that guy wielding a massive Sri Lanka flag. A little bit too straight on the body of Dhawan, who flicks this towards deep square leg for a single. So he moves to 7, documented